RJ, I want to know, how's Dez Bryant looking camp? A lot of people are picking him as their first Cowboy, although after that bit you dropped about Zeke earlier, that might be changing. The stock price might be going way up on Zeke right now on the big board. How's Dez looked in camp?
So every year, there are sort of cliches that happen. There's, whatever. I mean, there's Ben Roethlisberger contemplates retirement, I suppose. And there's Dez Bryant does something freakish in training camp. And
Tom Brady's too old.
Right, exactly. And that's what Dez does. I mean, he is a super freak. He is not human. And Dez looks completely and totally absolutely like Dez Bryant, which is something, we saw, I think, in 2016. I mean, certainly more than we did in 2015. But, I mean, people love to pound this narrative, and it's real. But Dez hasn't played a full season since 2014, which was before his big contract. And so I think there's a legitimate reason to, worry from an injury perspective, although they're somewhat isolated incidents. But from the way he's looked, Dez Bryant is a man, and he is going to have an incredible season. He doesn't, the Romo Dez days had that back shoulder fade. I'm interested to see what becomes the patented play with him and Dak Prescott over time.
Is there anything that's like shaping up to be that patented play? I mean, you're just saying he looks like a man. Like that just obviously is like, all right, Dez Bryant has got to get drafted right now. Is there any like type of – the one thing with him was in addition to the injury, he was just so inconsistent last year. He would have like 25, 30-point days and then, a 5-point nothing, or some days even like one catch. Is there any signs that he might be building just that even more consistent rapport with Dak, or anything at all that we might be able to rely on him more week to week?
Yeah, I think he's, I don't know that there's a phase of his game that isn't on an elite level, but, if there's a new thing, it might be the fade. I mean, I saw Dak and Dez work on that fade a lot and have some success with it. Granted, these are training camp practices and things like that, but I mean, by all accounts, Dez is a leader in the wide receiver room, just the way Dak Prescott is of the entire team. And Dez Bryant just physically is so incredibly gifted that it's hard to contain him. It's hard for average and it's hard for good cornerbacks to just size up, with him. I remember at one point, I think it was 2012, Dez was averaging a touchdown like every 4.1 receptions. I mean, if that's the case, it's first and goal, throw it to him 4 times. I mean, that's sort of the way I've always thought. And I think that's the red zone beast we're going to see this season.
You're getting the wolf excited over there. Let me just ask you as an obvious